from this
Our
side?
next chef
Sure.
is Micah Wexler of Wexler's Deli and of all sorts of other fame. You got other fame?
Is it working?
Yeah, you're good.
Great.
And you're making your grandma's chopped liver.
I am.
All right, and you're going to serve that how?
I'm going to serve it on some matzah with mostarda, which is an Italian kind of preserved fruit with dried mustard in it. So it's got a little bit of fruit, a little bit sour, a little bit bitter thing going on that's really nice with meats like this.
Yeah, and you can buy mostarda. I have to tell you, I didn't make it, I bought it. You can buy it at Italy. They have a whole bunch of different kinds. I actually bought today's from your Monsieur Marcel. Although know that sometimes you have to chop it up because they're like little fruits and you gotta
There's a lot of different kinds.
There's
It's really good stuff to experiment with. It's great on your cheese board or charcuterie, any of that kind of stuff. So I'm Micah Wexler. I don't know how to follow that up after Diane. She's one of my favorite people in the world. I've known her my whole life. So that was really great. A story about my chopped liver recipe, because it's a good one. So my grandmother on my dad's side, Emily, was the greatest cook, your classic Jewish cook. My grandparents lived in this tiny little apartment in West Hollywood, and she would throw these holidays for 30, 40 people, and there'd just be tables and chairs going every which direction. And I have a lot of great memories, and certainly both my grandmothers were great cooks, but a lot of my traditional Jewish taste memory comes from my grandma Emily. And she made the best chopped liver in the world. And she had this funny thing that she used to do on, I think it was it was Christmas Eve. They would always have like a couples party, right? All the Jews getting together to have their party on Christmas Eve. And she would make her chopped liver into the shape of a Christmas tree and put little diced peppers and olives on it. And to this day, my dad still talks about it, and he attempted to make one that did not do it justice. But anyhow, so I had my first restaurant. I was about 28 at the time. It was called Meze on La Cienega. And one day I get, from my meat purveyor, they mistakenly send me 10 pounds of chicken livers. And I said to my sous chef, hey, we didn't order that, send it back. And he's on the phone making the call, and I run after him, and I said, you know what? Don't do that. And it's going to sound funny to say this because a lot of people think chicken liver or organ meat is like, oh, it's kind of gross. But the quality of these livers was so pristine. And I'm looking at these chicken livers, and I'm like, wow, they're beautiful. They're so vibrant, so fresh. I got to do something with these. And so immediately my mind goes to, I'm going to make a really traditional French-style mousse, and we'll pot it, and we'll put a little gelée on top. And I start prepping that out, and my grandmother's voice is in my head, and I see the chopped liver, and I was like, okay, I'm not doing that. I'm going to make her chopped liver instead. And I didn't have the recipe for it, but it was something that I just kind of made from taste memory and put those things together. And I tasted it, and instantly brought me back, and I was like, wow, this is incredible. Put it on the menu that night. And I was like, this is not going to move. Nobody's ordering chopped liver. And we made like little mini challahs to go with it that were served warm. And it flew out of the kitchen. It was 86 on the first night. Made some more. Same thing happened. So it became this really well-known dish that I did. So we have chicken livers here. Oh, also another note. We're at Wilshire Boulevard. We got some kosher rules. There's one ingredient that's technically missing here if you want to make it at home. I do, the last thing that goes in when I mix it all together is some creme fraiche. So feel free to do that if you like. Steve Leader, who I love also, always says, I give him recipes from time to time, and he always claims that I leave an ingredient out or I don't tell him the full way to actually do it, and he gets pissed off at me. He's like, you did it to me again, so I'm giving you the full deal here. Okay, so let's get this induction burner on. Function? Okay, cool, great. Question, yes? Yeah, so livers, because they're an offal, which is the term we like to use for organ meats, they get a lot of impurities in them, right? And so that can give it a little bit of an off taste. So just soaking it in some cold water overnight, you basically put it in a bowl, fill it up with water, stick it in your fridge, leave it there for 24 hours, take it out the next day, and just strain them off, and that just allows a lot of that stuff to come out, and you get a cleaner flavor to the final product. So chicken livers, it's a two-step process, right? You take the chicken livers first and just poach them basically in some boiling water for about 2 minutes. That's another thing that helps just sort of get some of that stuff out there. Most chopped liver recipes, that's all they're doing, right? Boil the livers, grind it all up. It's good, but there's opportunity for us to add some more flavor here. So what I want to do at that point is put a little color on these and caramelize them a bit in the pan. So we've got our pan here, adding a little bit of grapeseed oil. And we want to get that really hot. High heat for sure. One thing to know is when you do put the livers in, they can kind of splatter a little bit, so just be aware of that so you don't hurt yourself. Okay, and you'll see in the recipe, it's you're gonna kind of saute the livers for a couple of minutes, get color on them. When you're doing a lot of them, then you're gonna remove them and add your onions and everything else. I'm gonna do that all in one step today, just to kind of speed it up a little bit. Okay, so we've got some chopped onions here. That goes in as well. And then here we've got some chopped garlic, thyme, and sage. Again, this is, we're kind of departing from the traditional here, and these are the things that are going to give that chopped liver more flavor and that you're actually going to like it. A lot of people eat chopped liver and they're like, I don't know, it's pretty strong and kind of under-seasoned, so the idea is to not have that happen and to be really enjoyable. A little bit of salt and pepper. Sorry? Kosher salt, yeah. Okay, so can you guys smell it at all? Nice, like the sage really comes out, the garlic, it's great. Okay, so once these start to get, you'll let them caramelize a little bit more, and then a little bit of cognac or brandy. This is where remember I told you I kind of started with that French thing. This is where that comes from. When you see these like chicken liver mousse in a French restaurant, you always use a little cognac or brandy to deglaze, and that adds a little sweetness and a little flavor to it as well. When you do this at home, just be careful. This is an induction burner, so there's no open flame. When you do it at home, it'll probably flame up, which is fun and a good time, but can also be scary, so just be aware. Okay, so those will continue cooking. This is, look, if I was serving a chicken liver plate kind of thing, I'd want them to be probably a little bit just rosy pink inside still for chopped liver. Want them cooked all the way through. And then the other thing that we've got here is hard-boiled eggs. I use a high ratio of hard-boiled eggs in my chopped liver, and I think it's one of the things that makes it really great because it lightens it makes it fluffy, and it sort of makes the flavor a little bit more mild, so that's why you see I'm using more eggs than you would see in your normal recipe. This is a grinder, okay? So meat grinder, this is pretty important for chopped liver. It really gives you the right texture to it. Could you make this in a food processor by pulsing it? You could. Would it be as good? Probably not. So if you have a grinder, great. If you don't, good thing to invest in also. So we've got some livers here that have already been cooked off and cooled and ready to go. So what you want to do when you're grinding is sort of intersperse the livers and the egg. So I'll put a little bit of liver in, a little bit of egg so that everything gets mixed up nice. Is this plugged in? It is. Oh, it's on this side, I see, okay. Once this is all ground up here, this would be the point if you were adding the creme fraiche when you would add it in. So we're just going to give this. I think the recipe is for 2.5 pounds of chicken livers. So for that, I would use a cup. Okay, let's give this a little taste. Need some salt. Yeah, the onions, everything's in here. The onions, the herbs, all of it. I'm going to put a little bit extra oil in here too, since we don't have the creme fraiche. That'll kind of help smooth it out. It does, one thing to note is chopped liver takes a good amount of salt, so don't be shy when you're seasoning. There we go, that's good. Okay, so then just to plate this up, we're going to take some of the liver, put it on our matzah, and just spread it out a little bit. Then this is the mostarda. And that's just going to go right on top. And that's the dish you have. That's the mostarda. So that's the fruit that's been preserved. It's in like a sugar syrup and mustard. So it has a little bit of spice to it and a little bit of sweetness. And I think, to me, like I always serve this on Seder as an appetizer. You can put a nice little bowl of it, or you can plate them up like this, and it's really great.